Okay, hello everybody. How you guys doing? My name is Mark. This is Why I Hate the World. What's going on? I wanted to talk a little bit about this latest ridiculousness that we see from Tucker Carlson. So, those of you guys who don't know what's going on with that, if you remember back, Kevin McCarthy became the Speaker of the House, and he had to go through about 15 votes or so in order to finally clinch it. They didn't want him. Even the Republicans didn't want him, but, you know. And in order to actually get the job of being Speaker of the House, he had to make lots of concessions. And one of those concessions was that they were going to hand over all of the footage from January 6th over to Fox News. Right. Why would, that was one of the concessions in order for him to get some votes from the quote-unquote Freedom Caucus, which in real life they're the frickin' traitor caucus, Lauren Boebert, what's that other asshole's name from Florida? Matt Gaetz, and so on. Those people, the Freedom Caucus, right? Why exactly was that one of the stipulations, right, in order for them to get the vote? Why did they want all of this footage to go specifically to Fox News, right? It's because these were the people who supported the insurrection, right? And make no mistake, that's what it was. It was an insurrection. So they know that that may hurt them politically in the next election, right? Because it doesn't poll very high, going and trying to take over the country and murder the vice president and kill the Speaker of the House does not pull very good with the general public, right? And so they're thinking, okay, well, this may hurt us a few years down the line when the next election shows up, which I hope to God it will, even though we all know it won't. We all know Republicans are going to vote for them anyway, right? But still, they're doing a little bit of that's what all this really is. It's just there to, it's a CYA exercise for the Republicans in the House. God damn it, I keep hitting the little bar there. That's why it keeps moving. And they need some ammunition in order to craft their narrative, because the narrative for the people in the Freedom Caucus is that it wasn't an insurrection, that this was just a peaceful protest and all this other baloney, right? Kind of hard to do that when you have hours and hours of footage of people smashing windows, breaking down doors, assaulting police officers, and so on. So in order to remedy that, this is their plan. Their plan is to hand it all over to Tucker Carlson, so that he can craft a narrative for them and show it to their base, because they know that their base is all that Fox News speaks to, right? And make no mistake about this, right? This is what this entire little fiasco is all about. It's not about actually convincing the general public, right? Or convincing anybody out there, or swing voters, anything like that. It's specifically to convince the base that this was all, innocent, and that there wasn't an insurrection, and they weren't there to kill anybody, and they weren't trying to take over the country, and that there really were questions about the election and all that other bullshit. That's specifically what this sort of media exercise is. That's what this is. It's a media exercise. It's messaging. That's what this entire fiasco with handing over 40 hours of surveillance footage specifically and exclusively to Tucker Carlson is all about. Because, if they really wanted to get the truth out there, right, they would have just handed it to everybody. That's not what they did. They gave it to Tucker Carlson specifically. Right. It's worth noting that all of the other media outlets out there are a little miffed at that, and there's now a lawsuit in order for them to get a hold of all of this footage, because remember, This footage is property of the United States government, which means it's property of the United States taxpayer, right? And if they're going to release it, to one media outlet, that's illegal. That should be illegal. You shouldn't be allowed to just pick and choose what media outlet you're going to give all this footage to. Conceivably, if it's not classified, any person should be able to do a Freedom of Information Act request and get all of this footage for free. So there's really no reason why they should only hand it over to Tucker Carlson. That kind of favoritism shouldn't be allowed, right? That should be illegal, if you ask me, right? So yeah, pretty sure that eventually they will, all of the other media outlets that are in this lawsuit will also get their hands on this footage, but that may take years at this point, right? And who knows? It may even go up before the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court may, overrule it or whatever, because once again, the fascists are in charge, right? We have a Supreme Court which does not obey the law or follow any precedent or anything like that. It bends over backwards to rule in favor of right-wing, business interests, right? So who knows? Maybe we'll never actually get it. Maybe Tucker Carlson will be the only person who ever actually gets to review all 40 hours of this footage, which is complete and total bullshit and just another, symptom of how sick and broken our system of government actually is, right? So anyway, apparently it's worse than we thought it would be. Everybody said, okay, well, he's going to get it. He's going to twist all this footage around to some ridiculous fucking narrative. And I've been seeing all day that it's just apparently worse. So I've got right here, we're going to go through all his 15-minute segment on January 6th. I'm sure there will be more segments after this. But this is the first one that Tucker Carlson has released here, and we're going to go through it and see exactly what's going on. Because, I haven't watched this yet myself. I've seen a couple of YouTube videos and stuff like that, commentary on it. But I didn't want to spoil it for myself here, so I'm going into this blind. So, let's see what all of the hubbub is about here. Okay.
The real crime, they will tell you again and again, is not what happened on Election Day 2020. The real crime is what happened 2 months later on January 6th, when Donald Trump led an insurrection against the duly elected American government. Okay,
first off, looks like I don't have exactly all of it here. There's only 15 minutes. I like how he started off there and he said the real crime is not what happened on Election Day. It's like, well, yeah, because there was no crime on Election Day. The election was not stolen, right? And here's the thing about that, right? So recently there was this Dominion lawsuit. I'm sure if you guys have been keeping up with that, where because people like Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani and the Mike Pillow guy and a bunch of other wacky conspiracy theorists kept going on Fox News, and Fox kept having these people on, and they kept entertaining these ridiculous stolen election conspiracy theories that had no proof to them at all. Dominion said, well, hey, we're suing you for defamation, right? And during the discovery process of that, all of these text messages and things came out, from different Fox News personalities and also Rupert Murdoch himself, basically showing in these text messages that they knew it was all ridiculous. They knew the election, they personally believed, right? All of the Fox News people, Hannity believed it, Tucker Carlson believed it, Rupert Murdoch believed it, all of them. They all believed that the election was not stolen and that these conspiracy theories were ridiculous, were wacky, that they had zero truth to them. There's text messages there where they're calling like Sidney Powell a crank, right? Saying that she's like batshit insane and all this other stuff. right? And basically, the text messages essentially say, well, we need to lean into this because our viewers are going to the competition because we're not towing the conservative line. And specifically, one of the text messages, like from Carlson himself, actually talks about how after they called Arizona for Biden on election night, that all of their ratings went down because their viewers went off to go watch One American Network and stuff like that, and other news. What's it called, Newsmax or whatever. Or I actually have what was it called? There's another one called News something or other. God damn it! I thought I had it written down. Right. News Nation, that's what it is, right? So there was another one called News Nation. They're like, these are like sort of conservative news, like Fox News wannabes, right? That they started, their numbers started going down on election night because they correctly called Arizona for Biden. And there's even like Tucker Carlson himself saying, hey, like that was a mistake. We shouldn't have called it. Right, acknowledging that it was like, that these conspiracy theories were ridiculous, that they have no basis in fucking reality, and the only reason that they entertain these things is for the money. In fact, during the deposition, Rupert Murdoch himself gets up in front of the judge or whatever and says exactly that it was all about money. It's not about politics or anything like that. They entertained these conspiracy theories because it kept bringing in money, because that's what their viewers wanted. And that's kind of the, I think they're probably going to lose the lawsuit for sure. You can't admit stuff like that and then claim that you didn't do it on purpose, right? That you didn't defame these people on purpose, right? Because that's essentially, in order to prove defamation, it's like extremely hard. Like, you have to prove that somebody knew what they were saying was false and that they did it on purpose. And this is like, that's what these text messages show, that they knew it was false, they did it on purpose, and the reason why they did it was for money, and they didn't care that they were defaming, that they were defaming the Dominion voting systems company, right? So, kind of shows that, he knew it was false. So when he sits here, right here, and says that there's, that the election is stolen, it's like we have proof that he knows that's bullshit. So, that's the other thing about, like, conservatives. Like, they have, like, zero shame, and they will lie to your face without, like, anything. They will just straight up lie to you, look at you, look right in your eyes and lie to you. Tell you that the sun is blue and the sky is yellow without any kind of like shame or compunction at all. It's absolutely fucking ridiculous. He's doing it right here. Right there. He just lied to us. So, anyway, let's start that over because I only went 10 seconds without interrupting.
The real crime, they will tell you again and again, is not what happened on Election Day 2020. The real crime is what happened 2 months later on January 6th, when Donald Trump led an insurrection against the duly elected American government.
That's what he did.
To prove that claim and to divert attention from the details of the presidential election itself, Democrats in Congress impaneled what they called the House Select Committee on the January 6th attack.
Yeah, okay, so that's the conspiracy that he's painting here, that they framed January 6th as an insurrection in order to distract from the election. That's kind of fucking... That's a new one. It's forgetting to mention that Sidney Powell and Rudy Giuliani and others in the Trump camp had 60 court cases, over 60 court cases, where they were asked to show some evidence that the election was stolen, and they couldn't do it. In 60 court cases, right? And, I mean, this was only, 2 years ago. I'm sure you guys remember all of this. Right. But this is what kept happening. They would get up on the news, they would say all this stupid bullshit about the election and how it was stolen and how we have proof and all this other crap and that there's irregularities and everything and the voting machines were hacked by Venezuelans or whatever, and there was a server in Germany that was like attacked by the FBI. Like all of this bullshit. They would say all of this shit. And then they'd get it in front of a judge, right? And then when it came to actually show evidence, they wouldn't have any. Right? They would get people that would come out and swear up and down, oh, I signed an affidavit saying that I saw that there were voting fraud and there were people with bucket barrels full of ballots and all this other crap. Right? And then those people would get before a judge and they would change their story. Right? And it was like that, and that happened 60 times. And why does that happen? Because when you actually go because you can say anything you want on TV. You can lie your ass off on TV, but when you get in front of a judge, you have to tell the truth. And if you don't tell the truth before a judge, you can get thrown in jail. And that's why every time they got in front of a judge, their fucking stories would change. Right? They would claim to have all this evidence and then never have any. Right? 60 times. That's what happened. So him getting on here and then saying, oh, they're distracting from the from the election, right? They're distracting from the election irregularities. Well, you can do it too, Tucker Carlson. How come you don't make a show on, the voting irregularities if you have any? Show us the proof already, right? Show us the actual evidence, all right? Because you can make all these fucking claims you want, but if you don't actually have any evidence, then how about you just, put up or shut up? How about that? Right? Instead, they've decided that they're going to try to, fool everybody by cutting the footage and shit. So let's see what else he's got to say here. Let's continue.
The point of that committee was to prevent Donald Trump from running for president again. In December of last year, committee members voted unanimously to refer Trump to the Department of Justice for criminal prosecution. Mission accomplished. But what the committee did not do was explain what happened inside the Capitol on January 6th. 3 weeks.
Yes, it did. Yes, it did. The committee went into great detail of that. All of that stuff is on YouTube also. If you guys didn't watch any of that, I watched it when I could, right? Especially just, you don't need to watch all of the committees, like all the January 6th committee, all of the footage, right? Because there's a lot of it. You don't need to watch every little bit of it. Just watch the closing arguments, right? They went into great detail about what exactly happened, who was there, the events, the series of events, everything, right? They went into great detail over all of that. So, no, when he sits here and he says, no, they didn't explain what happened in the Capitol, yes, they did. They explained it. They had witnesses up there. They showed footage, right? So already he's goddamn, we're only 45 seconds in, and already it's like this dude has told 16 lies. Fucking ridiculous.
Weeks ago, thanks to the new Republican Speaker's office, we gained access to thousands of hours of surveillance video that help answer that question. The January 6th committee had access to this very same tape and watched much of it. But as we're about to show you, committee members lied about what they saw and then hid the evidence from the public as well as from January 6th criminal defendants and their lawyers.
That's not true at all. Hid it from their lawyers. I can guarantee you $1 million that this little expose will not get anybody a new trial. That will be a thing that will not happen. Okay. So somewhere around over 1,000 arrests have been made of people that basically broke into the Capitol, right? And more than 400 of those people have actually been convicted and are in prison, right? The majority of those people got very small sentences. Okay, but there's some pretty high-profile cases. The guy Jacob Chansley, the leader of the Oath Keepers. Those guys went to prison. Didn't he get 20 years, right? Whatever that guy's name was, Stewart something. I can't remember his name. So there's been some pretty high-profile cases that came out of this, right? I can guarantee you $1 million none of this footage is going to result in any of those convictions being overturned. I doubt any of them will even get a new trial. Right? I can guarantee it right now. If that happens, I will go buy a hat and eat it, because I don't own a hat. I don't wear hats, but I will personally go buy a hat and I will eat the hat. I'll even make a video of myself eating it. If even one of those guys gets their conviction overturned because of this quote unquote new footage. Let's continue.
It is unforgivable. Whatever you think of Speaker Kevin McCarthy, he rectified that crime, and we are grateful that he did.
It's not a crime.
Before we show you the tape, a few words on the process. Our producers had unfettered access to the Capitol surveillance video. Neither the Speaker's office nor our bosses at Fox News interfered in any way with our investigation. Of the 40,000 or so hours of tape, most of it turned out to be irrelevant. Static shots of empty rooms, in some cases far from the Capitol itself.
That's true. Somehow I doubt that there was no interference. I highly, highly, highly doubt that. Pretty sure that this little thing was probably reviewed multiple times by the higher-ups at Fox and okayed. Pretty sure that they crafted a narrative out of this. I highly doubt that they would have allowed Tucker Carlson to go on the air with something that didn't fit their narrative. Right? Remember, this is cover your ass time for these guys. Not just for the conservatives in the House, but also for Fox News. Fox News is being sued like crazy right now over, they're about to lose $1 billion in this Dominion case, right? I would be very surprised if they don't. I mean, they might not get the full $1 billion, but I'd be very surprised if they manage to get away scot-free with the Dominion thing, right? So they're about to lose a shitload of money, right? And along with that goes credibility, which now you may think, because, we all here on the left, we see Fox News people and the people that watch it and think, oh, they're just a bunch of brainwashed, whatever. And, and it's because, we know that they're lying. Those of us who are media savvy and who get our sources of, our news, right, from multiple sources, right, already knew that this was bullshit. But, you got to remember, your typical Fox News person has a very tight sort of media environment, and if they believe that Fox is not credible, they'll abandon it and go to something else, like, News Nation or One American Network or something like that. And that's really what this is all about. This is really so that, the people at Fox can retain that viewership to try to keep them from abandoning them, because the only way that people will ditch Fox, the only way that the Fox viewers are going to ditch Fox is if they think that Fox is not towing the line. Right. Now, this is why they have to get them back on board, because all of those, like I said, the Dominion case thing really kind of ruined their reputation there. They're sort of in damage control mode now, because the Dominion, the text messages that came out during Discovery there really kind of rocked it a lot. And, people are saying, oh, they're a bunch of liars. So that's really what this is all about. This entire thing here is a big, huge virtue signal to the Fox News viewer saying, hey, we're still on your side. Hey, you can still trust us to get the message right. We're still poning the libs or whatever, even though we have absolute, definitive proof that they're all a bunch of liars and that they lied to everybody and they lied to their viewers. The people that people that trust them to get information and stuff. We absolute 100% proof that they just lied straight to their faces because they don't actually care about their viewers. They care about money, right? And So yeah, that's what this entire thing here is. It's just one huge giant virtue signal saying, please, please, please keep watching us. It's actually pretty fucking insidious. Let's continue on.
To find relevant videotape, our producers were given use of Capitol computers with advanced mapping software. That made it easy to find what we were looking for. What we didn't have was access to facial recognition software, and that was significant. For more than 2 years, we have wondered why some in the crowd that day who seemed to be inciting violence were never indicted for it. We assumed these were federal agents of some sort. We still assume that. And in fact, there were many examples of behavior we saw in those tapes that didn't seem to make sense.
Federal agents. That's the thing. All right, it's like, we assumed there were federal agents of some kind. Why? Like, I've heard that conspiracy theory a lot of times too, right? Why would federal agents be there inciting that riot? What purpose does it serve for, like, what federal agents? What, the FBI? The CIA? Right? Like, why would they want to disrupt the president's, certification? Like Joe Biden's certification, right? Wouldn't that mean that they were pro-Trump people then? Like, if there were agents there, right, that wanted to disrupt this certification of the president, wouldn't that mean that they were doing it in order to keep Donald Trump as president? Wouldn't that be the case? Why would they be doing it in order to what, just get the crowd in trouble? Why does that serve anybody's purpose? What purpose does that serve? To just make conservatives look bad? What's the goal there? Because I got news for you. If you just want conservatives to look bad, you just let them talk, right? Put a microphone in front of them. They'll make themselves look bad, So what's the point? What, so that they can frame a shitload of people? Like, how does that conspiracy theory work? And that's the same thing, like, you always hear, like, coming from the right wing, oh, it was Antifa. It was the FBI that did it. It was, secretly, it was the communists that went in and they framed all of these loyal, patriotic Trump supporters. Like, why would they want to do it? Like, why would someone who you say is in support of Joe Biden want to disrupt Joe Biden's certification? It doesn't make any sense, right? The whole, this whole idea where they say, we thought those were federal agents, it's a bullshit cop-out. It's got no basis in fucking reality, and if you just think about it for half a second, it makes zero fucking sense. It makes zero sense. It doesn't make any fucking sense at all, right? But people believe this shit. Conspiracy theorists are the dumbest fucking people on earth. I don't know if we should just do streams and talk about conspiracy theories. Maybe I'll start doing that. Right. I actually do have a couple of streams, I made a few about the flat earth, and I made some about the New World Order and stuff like that. These are people that'll believe fucking anything. Like, conspiracy theorists really are the stupidest fucking people who have ever lived. Right? They are. It's embarrassing. Like, just the kind of logical leaps that one has to do in order to have this shit make sense, because all you just need 2 goddamn brain cells to rub together, and it completely fucking falls apart. I don't know. Dumbest shit ever. Let's continue.
Men in civilian clothes holding doors open for protesters, escorting others through the Capitol, etc. We would love to know who these people were, but as of tonight, we don't know. And because we don't know, we're not going to put their faces on the screen and suggest they were federal agents. That would be irresponsible.
Yeah, it would also be libel. Which is why they're not going to do it. Because any of those people could then sue Fox News. So that's why they're not doing it. Right. So he's just going to insinuate, oh, this guy might be a federal agent. He might be a federal agent. I don't know. We're just asking questions. Right. But yeah, that's why they're not going to actually say, this guy right here who's holding this door open is a federal agent. No. Can't actually say that because, now Fox News will lose more money. Disguising it. It's just like, oh, we're so goddamn principled. Sure you are. The fuck out of here.
There were many mysteries we could not solve. Among them, unfortunately, is the shooting of Ashley Babbitt. From the evidence we have, the publicly available evidence, it seems clear that Babbitt was murdered by a Capitol Hill police officer called Michael Byrd. Ashley Babbitt was unarmed. She was shorter in stature than average. She posed no conceivable threat to anyone. But beyond that, we can only speculate about what happened. There were no security cameras near the speaker's lobby where Ashley Babbitt was killed.
Ashley Babbitt was also trying to break into the speaker's lobby, right? So first off, he says there were no cameras. There were cameras, right? It's on film. Ashley Babbitt being shot is on film. Okay. That entire thing, that was when, a huge crowd of people were trying to break into the speaker's lobby where, a bunch of congressmen and stuff were, hiding, afraid for their lives. I'm sure, we have that footage has been available since it happened, right? And there were police there, and they said, hey, stop or we'll shoot, right? Ashley Babbitt was part of a crowd of people that were trying to break into that room and do harm to the Congress people. They had ample warning, and they fired. She got shot in the shoulder, bled out, and died. Okay. That's what actually happened. We have the footage of that happening. She was not murdered, right? She was not murdered. She's a traitor. Okay. Ashley Babbitt and every person in that room trying to break in and murder murder the Congress people on the other side of that door are all traitors. Every single one of them. Okay. That's what they were there for. It wasn't, this was no peaceful protest. You know how, if it was a peaceful protest, you know what they would have done? They would have gone inside with pots and pans and banged them and made a shitload of noise. Right? Maybe trashed some things. That's pushing the edge of a peaceful protest. Right? A peaceful protest, it would be going to the Capitol and locking your arms and making a human chain in front of the door so nobody can get in or out. That's a peaceful protest. Peaceful protest is going inside and then just sitting on the ground and doing a sit-in. Sit-in is a peaceful protest, right? Peaceful protest means it has to be peaceful. It means you're not breaking down doors, right? It means not smashing windows. No, it means not beating the crap out of cops with flagpoles and fire extinguishers, right? Spraying them with wasp spray. The one guy that died, what's his name? Brian Schlicknick? I think his name is. The guy that died afterwards. Died of a stroke after, right? And then all of the January 6th supporters are like, oh, that was natural causes, and it's because it was a stroke, right? Well, what causes strokes, folks? Stress. Stress causes strokes. It's like, do you really think that this cop would have just died of a stroke naturally the next day if there was no January 6th? I got a bridge to sell you, and a furry trout farm, right? To sell you if that's what you think. Okay, no. He died because he got the crap beat out of him. Somebody sprayed him in the face with wasp spray, right? I mean, and then he was in a shitload of stress, and the stress caused a stroke, and then he died, right? But, the coroner just said, oh, it wasn't because he got the crap beat out of him, it was just natural causes. And it's like, yeah, it was a natural cause brought on by the stress of fucking, fighting for his life the whole fucking day before. Alright? Such fucking bullshit, okay? That guy's dead because of these assholes. 5 other people died too. Heart attacks and shit. Right? Over 100 cops were, injured, put in the hospital. Police officers losing fingers. I mean, this was not a good time. All right, so when they try to make you, try to claim that this was a peaceful protest and she was murdered, fuck you. All right, she was not murdered. She was not murdered. She was not murdered any more than a soldier who shoots an enemy soldier murdered that soldier. Do we call that murder? No. All right. Do we call it murder when a cop stops a criminal from killing somebody? and like has to use lethal force to stop him. No, that's exactly what this was. All right. Police officer used lethal force, gave ample warning because this person was trying to overthrow the United States government. That's what it was. Suck my dick. Tucker Carlson, you fucking lying piece of shit. Goddamn, we're only 3 minutes in. Let's continue.
And one more thing. Virtually no one in Washington, Republican or Democrat, certainly not in the news media, wanted to see this tape released tonight. That's why it's remained hidden for more than 2 years. In recent weeks, the usual hyenas in Congress...
Yeah, because they knew exactly this was going to happen. They didn't want it to get released to you specifically because they knew you were going to turn it around and try to brainwash the fucking Fox viewers with it. Right? And now everybody out there has to do damage control. But here's the thing, right? All the people that watch Fox are just going to eat it all up and be like, see, we told you all the time. And this is why you're seeing all these fuckwits going around saying that this is like 100% vindicates everything that... everything we've been saying about the insurrection and all that, and it was just peaceful and all this other fucking total bullshit. Yeah, here's the thing, right? Conservative, we can tell when people are not arguing in good faith when they take things that they know are fake, they know are false, and claim them to be true, right? Like I said, Tucker Carlson knows that this shit is false. Tucker Carlson knows the election wasn't stolen, right? Tucker Carlson knows that the January 6th was a bona fide insurrection, right? He's not stupid. He saw what fucking happened. We all saw what happened, okay? He knows it's fake. He knows that he's lying. Oh, and you know what? A large majority of the viewers know that they're also lying as well, right? And they're going to sit there and claim that they're not lying, right? Because they're disingenuous. It's like they're just doing it just to, like, I mean, what's the point of all this? It's not going to convince anybody who doesn't actually already believe it, right? It's so that they can just claim some little bit of legitimacy. And, I don't know, win fucking arguments on Facebook or something. It's fucking pathetic. It's pathetic. It's like, it's like when you know someone's lying and they know they're lying and then they say the lie anyway. Like, that's like worse. Like, if he like actually genuinely believed this shit that he's saying, then at least you could say, okay, at least she's honest. Like some of the politicians and shit, like I would say Marjorie Taylor Greene, I would say that she actually believes the shit that she says, right? She's too fucking stupid to not actually believe it, right? And you can kind of tell, like, you can kind of tell that she's like, getting high off her own supply. She's actually like falling for it. Lauren Boebert, for example, right? Like they have that sort of like entitled Karen naivety where like they don't know that the things that they say are false, Like Marjorie Taylor Greene, for example, was a QAnon person. She's obviously too fucking stupid to like tell fantasy from reality in the first place. So you can kind of forgive her when she says ridiculous, stupid shit. Be like, oh, well, she doesn't know any better. Sort of like when you have your your mentally challenged little brother who's a little slow in the head, who got held back a couple of grades or whatever, and then when he says some dumb shit, like when he still thinks that Santa Claus is real or whatever, you can kind of forgive him and be like, okay, well he's just an idiot, right? Just humor him, whatever, right? Tucker Carlson fucking knows this shit is fake. Tucker Carlson doesn't believe these conspiracy theories. We know that he doesn't fucking believe them. We have the text messages, right, where he said himself that he doesn't believe this shit. He's lying right. He's lying right at us right now, doubling down on it, because he knows anybody who watches him is just going to go right along with it. I mean, it's the most corrupt shit ever. Like, absolutely corrupt. Ah, my God. I wish, I hope there's a hell. I hope God is real, and I hope that means, because if God is real, that means hell is real. because then that means Tucker Carlson will burn there. I know that there's no such fucking thing, but I don't know. I wish I could believe. It would make me feel better at night to know that Tucker Carlson is going to burn in hell. Let's continue on. We've still got 12 minutes to go.
Congress and on cable news have been howling about we are putting lives at risk by showing this tape to the public. Given that
Yeah, you are. He is, by the way. You know, if by showing these things to the public, he actually is putting lives at risk here. You know, but far be it from anyone in the Fox News network to actually care about the implications of their actions like that, right? Not when there's people to be brainwashing.
these are the very same people who support open borders and defunding the police, it is hard to take their complaints seriously. But we do take security seriously.
Okay. I like how he has to throw in little jabs like that. You know, I know all of you out there watching already know this, but you can't let one of these things go, right? No one on the left actually wants to defund the police, right? That's not a thing. No one on the left actually wants to have the border 100% completely open. That's not a thing. What they do support is reform. Reform the police so that they don't just kill everybody without trying to at least resolve things peacefully, without trying to de-escalate, right? That's what people want, okay? Maybe you don't need to send cops out for every little fucking thing. If there's a domestic dispute, don't need to send a cop, all right? If there's a wellness check, don't need to send a cop, okay? If somebody, has some kind of breakdown, mental breakdown or whatever, and maybe they're getting a little crazy, you don't need to send a cop right away, right? Maybe you send somebody trained for those situations first. And then if shit gets out of hand, then you call a cop. Maybe that's what defund the police means, right? It means fund things like social workers, right? And that kind of thing, so that the police can do their jobs of stopping crime and, hunting down violent axe murderers and shit like that. That's what cops should be doing. Stopping drug dealers and thieves and shit. Not wasting their time going to check if some little old lady is okay in her house and then ends up fucking murdering her dog or whatever and shooting her grandson, right? We don't need cops for that. Why are they wasting their time doing shit like that? That's what defund the police actually means, right? It means reform the police, okay? Nobody actually wants there to be no police. That's fucking stupid. But it's and the thing is that no one has even talked about that shit for 2 years now. It's been at least 2 years since that became a thing. No one has even talked about it. No one's run on it, right? No politicians have made that their thing, that they've ran on a campaign of defunding the police. That's not a thing that happened, right? No police departments in the fucking country have been defunded. Have there been any that have been shut down and defunded? No. That's not a thing that happened. Did they defund, when they shot George Floyd, did that police department get defunded? Did they, get disbanded? No. Right? They got more money. Okay? No, politicians and Republicans and Democrats especially, they run on supporting law and order and giving more cops, putting more cops on the streets, giving the cops more power. Right? That's every single one of them does that. Democrats too. There's been zero politicians that have tried to actually defund the police, yet you hear that shit every fucking day. Every time these people talk, every time Tucker Carlson opens his goddamn mouth, every show that he does, he mentions defund the police. Every time Marjorie Taylor Greene talks, she talks about defund the police. Every time. It's like these fucking people are just broken record. I don't know. They just have nothing new on the shelf there. I mean, you have to commend them for being on message. That's one thing conservatives are really good about. They know that phrase "defund the police" pisses people off, specifically pisses off their viewers, and they say it every fucking day just to remind them. It's like, oh, defund the police. Meh, meh, meh. Such horseshit. And then the opens border thing. I mean, that's bullshit. Right, that's been a thing for decades. That like the conservatives are always saying, Democrats and liberals want to open the borders right up. They just constantly, despite all of the evidence to the contrary, I mean, Obama deported more people than any other president up to him. Okay, he was arguably like just as tough on illegal immigration than Trump is. Right, same shit happened with Biden. I mean, they've kept Title 42 on. Title 42 is the, where, like, basically people who, immigrants, illegal, undocumented immigrants, like, are not getting their day in court. Title 42. It means they just deport them. What's supposed to happen is that if you walk over the border illegally, you're supposed to get arrested. You're supposed to get a court date. You're supposed to go in front of a judge and plead your case. Right? That's how it's supposed to work. The problem is there's like so many people that it may take months and months and months before you get in front of a court. So instead of holding you in a jail cell, they go, okay, well, you can go stay with these people over here, your friends or family or whatever, until your court date. Right? That's how it's supposed to fucking work. Title 42 says, no, you just deport them. Get the fuck out of here. Put them on a fucking car and send them back, right? Which that's not how it's supposed to work, but that's what we've been doing ever since COVID came around. Did Biden get rid of that? Nope. Right? Did you know that Biden is still building portions of Trump's wall? That is still a thing that's happening. You would think that just would have stopped, right? The whole stupid fucking wall thing just would have ended as soon as a new president came in, right? Nope. Construction on the wall still continues. Okay, so how the fuck is Biden weak on the border if he's doing all of the same shit that Donald Trump did? Right? It's bullshit. Nobody wants. You know what we want? We want to have reforms. We want to make it so that people don't have to sneak over the border, so that there's actually a way to enter the country legally and become a citizen if you want to. All right? It can take up to fucking 22 years for somebody to actually legally become a citizen in this country, all the way like from start to finish, right? You get a green card, you get like legal residency and all this other crap, right? 22 years, right? So if you come in at age 20, you'll be 42 before you become a citizen. What kind of ridiculous fucking shit is that? All right. I mean, I know the thing is if you're rich, that goes across a lot faster. All right. If you're somebody like Donald Trump, you can get your wife in and her parents. You can get them as, you can get her wife's parents in as American citizens way faster than 22 years, right? It shouldn't be like that. Why is it okay? Why is it like easier for rich people to become citizens than anybody else? What kind of shit is that? We're supposed to be the United States. People are supposed to be fucking equal here. Such fucking bullshit, folks. But they say it every goddamn day. Every day this fucking guy is on air, he repeats that lie over and over and over. How many, like, ridiculous, idiotic fuckwit, like, conservatives do you see on Reddit, on Facebook, on all of your social media repeating the same stupid shit over and over and over again? Is it any wonder why the goddamn country is so polarized? Why conservatives and Republicans and shit are ready to like start a revolution when they're listening to these lies like this every night? God damn. I don't know. Am I perpetuating this by showing this video? Am I perpetuating it? I mean, I think it's important. I think it's important to call stuff like this out, spread the message around, and make sure that there's a counter narrative. I mean, I don't know. I hope I'm not perpetuating the shit. I hope I'm doing the opposite. I hope I'm fighting against it by showing this. But it does occur to me, like, hey, I don't know. I don't think that works. When you just try to ignore these people, it doesn't work. They just get louder and louder and louder because other people out there aren't ignoring them. So, yeah, I don't think I am. I think we're doing the right thing by talking about it. Right. Trying to change some fucking hearts and minds out there. I don't know. Let's continue.
So before airing any of this video, we checked first with the Capitol Police. We're happy to say their reservations were minor, and for the most part, they were reasonable. In the end, the only change that we made was in blurring the details of a single interior door in the Capitol building.
How very
You're
fucking
unlikely
thoughtful
to
of
notice
you.
it when we show you, and we are confident it does not affect our reporting. With that, here's the video. It doesn't answer every question from January 6th, far from it. But it does prove beyond doubt that Democrats in Congress, assisted by Adam Kinzinger and Liz Cheney, lied about what happened that day.
Okay.
They are liars. That is conclusive. And that fact should prevent them from ever being taken seriously again.
Pot, kettle, black. This guy, it's very, very funny and ironic him claiming that the Democrats are lying here when he has told literally, dozens of lies just in his opening. We haven't even gotten to the video yet, so we haven't even been able to see how he's managed to twist that around, right? But even just his opening fucking commentary here has been filled with like a dozen lies. I mean, I don't know, folks. If there's anybody out there who doesn't get to claim that other people are lying, it's fucking Tucker Carlson. This guy is king of the lies. I have more respect for Ann Coulter than I do this piece of shit. You know what I mean? I always thought Ann Coulter was the most vile of the vile, but no, it's Tucker Carlson. Ann Coulter, at the very least, would never do something like this. She wouldn't create a propaganda piece, She would just, come out and straight up say, whatever racist shit she wants to say. And, that's always Ann Coulter. She's always I'm racist as fuck, deal with it. That's her thing. Tucker Carlson, he has that veneer of legitimacy, right? That's what it is. That's what he thrives on. He has that image of he's, I'm giving you the straight dope here, folks. When every fucking thing this guy says, it's just one lie after another. It makes, like I said, it's more despicable when you know they're lying. You know what I mean? Anyway, moving on.
We're going to begin tonight with footage that shows you what was actually happening inside the Capitol. The footage does not show an insurrection or a riot in progress. Instead, it shows police escorting protesters through the building,
okay,
including the now infamous QAnon shaman. Watch.
Okay,
pictures
they did show this.
January 6th.
Very good so far.
Because they've been playing on a loop on every media outlet in America for the last 2 years. There's a reason for that. But it turns out there's quite a bit of video you haven't seen. And that video tells a very different story about what happened on January 6th. More than 40...
So, people walking around. All right. So, yeah, they did start. To their credit, they did start with the rioting and the smashing and the brutalizing of police officers, the destruction of property, stuff like that. But now there's people walking around on the inside. Okay.
40,000 hours of surveillance footage from in and around the Capitol have been withheld from the public. And once you see the video, you'll understand why. Taken as a whole, the video record...
Well, what are we seeing here? All right. So, I guess he's going to tell us that this is, peaceful. Does it look peaceful to you? Let's see.
Does not support the claim that January 6th was an insurrection. In fact, it demolishes that claim. And that's exactly why the Democratic Party and its allies in the media prevented you from seeing it.
Prevented you from seeing it. Okay, let's go back here to this picture here, right? Let's see what we're looking at here, right? We're walking around this picture. This is the sort of main foyer gallery or whatever, right? So, what happened here? Because, he's only showing little snippets of this, right? Does that look peaceful to you? Right? kind of looks like some things have been vandalized in there, right? You know what it is? You know what this is showing? This is the aftermath of the first people who broke in and smashed everything. That's what this is. Okay. The first people came in, they knocked a bunch of shit over, they ran off and all this other crap, right? And now these are the people that came afterwards who are just sort of milling about, chilling, waving their flags, whatever, right? Other parts of the building, people were going through, remember, there were people going through ripping off laptops, right? There was that asshole who went into Nancy Pelosi's desk and put his feet up on the table and stole her laptop. That guy's in prison, by the way. He got convicted. He got like 5 years, right? Good, fuck him. You know, there were people being, you know, searching room to room, looking for AOC, looking for Nancy Pelosi, looking for Chuck Schumer, looking for Democrats, right? Looking for Mike Pence. Remember, these people were outside right before this happened, screaming, hang Mike Pence, hang Mike Pence. They wanted to kill him, right? Right now, as all of this shit is happening, the Congress people are hiding at another part of this building, right? Mike Pence is in the garage where they're urging him to get in the car and leave. And the only reason why the entire coup failed is because Mike Pence didn't get in that car and leave. Because Mike Pence said, no, if I get in the car and leave, I'll never come back, right? And then that'll be it. That'll be the end of democracy, right? That's the only reason. While this is happening, while these people are milling about, you know, waving their Trump signs, smearing feces on the walls and shit. So, no, it's because, okay, so this particular camera footage right here doesn't show people running around with torches and pitchforks. That doesn't mean the shit wasn't an insurrection, alright?
Not support the claim that January 6th was an insurrection. In fact, it demolishes that claim. And that's exactly why the Democratic Party and its allies in the media prevented you from seeing it. By controlling the images you were allowed to view from January 6th, they controlled how the public understood that day. They could lie about what happened, and you would never know the difference. Those lies had a purpose. They created a pretext for a federal crackdown on opponents of the Uniparty in Washington.
Pretext for the federal crackdown of the Uniparty. Okay. So, I don't know where he's getting this Uniparty shit from. But these people were not the opponents of the Democratic Party, right? These were not people that were there to, you know, like when you say that opponents, that it's like what, Republicans, you know? They were not there legitimately, okay? These people broke down the doors and entered that building, right? Now, even if you just went in there and walked around and left, you broke the law, right? You know, and then, you know, okay, here's the thing, right? It may be true, yeah, plenty of people had no intention of going in and murdering anybody, right? That's definitely true. Those people, when they're being punished, they're getting lighter sentences, right? They're just getting, you know, trespassing, something like that. The majority of the 400 people who have been convicted for January 6th so far have very light sentences like that, 30 days or less. Okay, it's only the big time people that like have actually been convicted for sedition. You know, the leader of the Oath Keepers, what it's Stuart Rhodes, that's his name, right? That guy, I think he got like 20 years or something. Like, what did, you know? Let's look that up. What did Stuart Rhodes? Let's see, Stuart Rhodes sentence. You know, faces a maximum sentence of 60 years. I don't know if he's actually been sentenced just yet. He's been convicted. But I think his sentencing hearing may not be for some time yet. So he's facing up to 60 years, right? Your average person who just walked in after somebody else broke down the door, walked around for a bit, and then exited, that guy, they're not getting 60 years. They're getting, like, you know, 2 weeks. Right, or even they might not be convicted at all. They might be let off. That's happening too. Okay. So that's the first thing. But no, this is not some kind of, like, the conspiracy to persecute the enemies of the Uniparty. That's the load of fucking shit. That is that just even saying that sentence out loud is so ridiculously silly. I don't know. Let's continue.
Our office wanted to ensure that there was shock and awe, that we could charge as many people as possible.
The first thing you notice from viewing the full video record of January.
All right. See, it looks like they're coming in nice and easy, right? Doesn't it?
6th is just how many people entered the Capitol building that day.
See, that looks... Now look. Let's watch that one more time, okay? Because what are we actually seeing? Okay, right here.
First thing you notice from viewing the...
See this? Coming in through the door. What are these guys coming in? They're coming in through a broken window. I mean, if it's nice and orderly, right? If it's just, if they're just sightseers or whatever, tourists, right? They're not really there to, they're not really insurrectionists. Why are they coming in through a broken window, right? I wonder why that has to be the case. How come there's not a tour guide with them?
Full video record of January.
Why did that desk just collapse after that guy broke in through, came in through a broken window and smashed that thing? I mean, gee, that looks really peaceful to me, wouldn't you say?
6th is just how many people...
And is this guy right here waving people in? Is this guy a cop? Look at this. What is this thing, this broken thing that's falling in front of a door that they forced open, right? Does that look peaceful to you?
People entered the Capitol building that day. Hundreds and...
Look at that. Does that look peaceful to you? Are these guys just peacefully lining up, milling around? Are there cops, directing them everywhere? Right?
And hundreds of people, possibly thousands.
Hey, look at that. There's a cop right there trying to keep order. Here's the thing, right? Because this is what he's gonna say. I already know this part, right? Because this actually happened. There's plenty of footage of police officers, right, that day who are doing things like opening doors, directing crowds around, stuff like that. And the right wing turns around and they say, see, it's all bullshit. There's cops are directing them in, they're letting them in, they're leading them around. How come this guy removed the barricade? All this other crap, right? And it's because right now there are hundreds of people in the building, right? The police lost. And if they try to fight, they're overrun, and they know that they'll get murdered. So what did the police do, right, after these people already broke in through the barricades, smashed through the windows, got in, and were running around? What did they do, right? Their priority then becomes protecting the Congress people. Okay? And then that's what they were doing. So they were directing them around to different parts of the building, trying to keep them away from the Congress people. Right? That's what was happening. Okay? That's what this cop here is trying to do. Right? He's trying to keep people out of certain key areas. Right? Away from the Congress people. There was that other footage of that one police officer who was being chased. Do you remember that? One black guy, the cop, who was being chased, and he led the crowd in a different direction, away from the away from the Congress people, right? You remember that? That's how come Tucker Carlson's not showing that footage? Fucking horseshit. We're only 5 minutes in. All right, let's continue.
For the course of about 2 hours. The crowd was enormous. A small percentage of them were hooligans. They committed vandalism. You've seen their pictures again and again. But the overwhelming majority weren't. They were peaceful. They were orderly and meek. These were not insurrectionists. They were sightseers.
Sightseers.
Footage from inside the Capitol.
The fuck out of here. Sightseers, my ass. Why were those people there? Were they just... because what he's basically saying, they were sightseers. He's making it sound like that these were people that were just there on vacation one day. We decided to bring the family down to Washington, D.C. on vacation, and they just happened to show up when all of this shit was going down. Pure coincidence. And they just happened to I drove all this way, I might as well go inside of the Capitol. It's open, hey? Get the fuck out of my face with that bullshit. Sightseer, my ass. Okay? people weren't fucking sightseers. These people were there, right, because Donald Trump held a rally, right before this and told everybody to go there, right? I mean, this shit was planned. It wasn't like, you don't get like fucking, 10,000 people to just show up like at the drop of a hat like that. Like, they planned this. People came from all over the country to go to this, specifically to disrupt the fucking certification of Joe Biden's certification, right? Because this was their last chance to stop him from becoming president. That's what this was. That was the entire thing. This is what this was planned as, right? We have, like, all of the evidence of in the world, that this was organized that way, that there was, like, flyers and fucking Facebook meetup groups and, like, people fucking, like, bussing in specifically for this event, right? Because that's what they planned to do, right? And it kind of looks like that the whole plan was, under the cover of this protest, of this rally, right, that Stuart Rhodes and the Oath Keepers and the Proud Boys, right, were going to go in and fucking, like, use force in order to, like, physically stop the ballot certification, right? And it's looking like, this is my speculation here, so I'm not going to actually say this is true or not, right? But but from the evidence, it kind of looks like that their contact with the Trump administration through all this was Roger Stone, right? And this is why, I mean, we have footage of Roger Stone hanging out with, the Proud Boys right before this happened, right? The day before, they had dinner with Stuart Rhodes. Okay? There's footage of that. You know why there's footage? Because the Proud Boys had, like, a fucking camera crew with them that were, like, making a documentary about him. They got all this shit on tape. We know this shit happened. We know they were coordinating, right? They were coordinating with each other, right? They had, like, weapons. They had, like, a bunch of armed people, like, 10 minutes away, basically ready to come in and, like, shoot everyone. Okay, this is why after the shit happened, like, fucking, Roger Stone jumped on a plane and got the hell out of town, because he knew that it failed, and he knew that he could go to fucking prison, right? Which, I don't know why Roger Stone is not in prison, right? He's deep into this shit. You would at least think that, like, the police would want to talk to his ass. But, as far as I can tell, he hasn't been indicted, he hasn't been arrested, nobody's done shit to him. Seemingly, he's gotten away with it scot-free. So, so much for fucking justice, right, folks? But that's what it was. That's what it was, right? These people were not there just to fucking, like, oh, I was just in the Capitol that day, and I was just taking pictures. I'm just a tourist. Get the fuck out of my face with that shit. Such bullshit.
Capitol overturns the story you've heard about January 6th. Protesters queue up in neat little lines.
I like how he just said that. Where's the neat little line? Is there a neat little line here? Let's see. Right here. Is that a neat? I don't see any line at all. Neat little line. These are neat little lines here. Does that look like a neat little line? Right? Or here? Are these neat little lines? I like how, like, when he's, like, saying this stuff, but the video itself is, like, contradicting. It's like he's saying things, but it doesn't match the video that's on screen.
They give each other tours outside the speaker's office. They take cheerful selfies and they smile.
Yeah, they took plenty of cheerful selfies. That's the reason why so many of them have been convicted. Because, it's not a good idea to, like, break the law and then take pictures of yourself breaking the law. That's a really stupid fucking idea, which so many of these people actually did because they're morons. Right? So, I mean, I guess that's one good thing about social media. Like, because they all couldn't wait to brag. You know, like that's one thing that we saw over and over and over again with all of these people. Like, you know, like the guy that went and put his feet on Nancy Pelosi's desk and like smoked a cigar and shit in her room and stole her laptop and all that stuff. And, hey, Nancy, I was here, blah, blah, blah. It's like, what did that guy think was going to fucking happen? I think you were just going to get away with it if you just put that up on Facebook. Think you're just going to get away with it? You know, wasn't Baked Alaska there? Did that guy get arrested? Let me see. Baked Alaska, did he actually get arrested for the January 6th thing? I think he was fucking live streaming, wasn't he? Hang on. Baked Alaska, Jan 6. Did he get arrested? Yes, he did. Baked Alaska sentenced to 2 months for January 6th rioting. Sentenced to 60 days in prison in January. So he's currently in prison right now. Good. Good, fuck him. Or I don't know, did he start yet? Maybe he didn't actually start his prison thing yet. But, good, fuck him. He should have got 6 months, right? But there you go, 60 days. Okay, he got 2 months, right? That sounds about right for what most of these people that are in these videos are probably going to be convicted of. Sounds about right, because it is true, yeah. Not all of these people were there specifically to murder Mike Pence, specifically to kill Nancy Pelosi, right? Specifically to, try to murder members of Congress, right? That's not, that would be false to claim that, right? But they all were there to disrupt that election. Every single one of them. That was the entire point why they went there in the first place, was to disrupt the certification of the election. Each and every one of these people in these videos are traitors. All of them. That's the opposite of a patriot. They were not patriots, they're traitors, right? Okay? You know what a patriot would do when they lose the election? Suck it up and do better next time, right? Because a patriot loves the country, right? Even when the people that they didn't vote for are in charge. That's what a fucking patriot is, right? You're not a patriot if, like, you're ready to, like, tear up the Constitution and wipe your ass with it. If you're, like, favorite fucking orange-dusted Cheeto gorilla fucking Cheeto, McNugget-eating asshole doesn't win the fucking election. Right? If you're ready to throw the entire thing out, just because your highly unlikable guy lost, you're not a goddamn patriot in that case, right? You're the opposite of a patriot, right? You don't care about democracy. You don't care about any of the goddamn principles that this country was founded on, or what we lie to ourselves and say we believe about democracy and freedom. You don't care about any of that shit, okay? That's the exact opposite of a patriot. So, fuck you people. Fuck Tucker Carlson. Moving on.
They're not destroying the Capitol. They obviously revere the Capitol. They're there because they believe the election was stolen from them. They believe in the system. Here's the man you've heard referred to as the QAnon.
Yeah, they believe in lies thanks to people like Tucker Carlson. Right? They believe the election was stolen because people like Tucker Carlson kept telling them it was stolen over and over and over again. Even when Tucker Carlson himself personally believed that the election wasn't stolen. Even when we have absolute proof that he thought the people spreading the conspiracy theories that it was stolen were completely full of shit, he went on his show and told these lies anyway. Is it? If you go on TV and you say shit, people will believe you. Why? You know why? Because you're on TV. Okay? There's still this air of legitimacy to something that's on television, that people will just believe it without fucking... You know why? Because they think, oh, well, hey, they wouldn't allow this dude on the air. They wouldn't allow this guy on the air if what he was saying wasn't true. Right? This is it's a bias that people have because, airtime is precious and, limited. And it's like, well, they're not going to let any Yahoo on there, right? So obviously this guy must know what he's talking about. right? And that's why people believe it. So it doesn't have to be true. You just have to say it over and over and over again, and people will believe it, right? That's how propaganda works. You just repeat. That's how that's how messaging works, right? Just say it over and over and over. This is why you always hear, even in this very video, where Tucker Carlson was saying, they defund the police and they want open borders and all this other stuff, and the election was fucking, stolen and all this other shit. It's like stuff that we know is not true, that he knows is not true, right? You just have to say it. That's all it takes. You just have to repeat it. You don't. It doesn't have to make any sense either. At all. If you just think about any of those things for 5 seconds, they don't make sense. But people believe it anyway, right? Why? Because people want to believe it. Conservatives want to believe this shit. That's why they fucking believe it, right? They want to believe it. You see this in like videos and stuff over and over, where like people will go out and interview conservatives and like actually try to get them to explain why they believe the things they believe, and they can never come up with it. There's a guy on MSNBC that does this. I can't remember his name, like Scottish dude. Goes out and like interviews MAGA people, and and none of them can ever actually really articulate why they believe the things they believe when there's no proof. The election's stolen. Why do you believe that? But there's no proof, and they can never articulate it to them because they don't. It doesn't have to make sense. It's like a religious belief. If you were to ask somebody out there, if you were to go out and ask them, why do you believe in Jesus, right? And then start citing all of the reasons why it's ridiculous to believe in a invisible sky god or whatever, right? They won't be able to articulate that to you either. They won't be able to give you a good reason. The best that they'll come up with is, well, I feel it in my heart, and I know it's true. That's the best that any of them will ever come up with, right? Because it's silly on its face. It's the same thing. This is the same reason, because they feel it inside, and they know it's true, and that's why they know Trump won the election, and that's why they know the Democrats are a bunch of baby stealing, blood drinking, adrenochrome fucking sucking vampires and stuff like that. Reptilians. That's why they know all that stuff's true, and that's why they know that the cabal of evil reptilian Jewish overlords actually started the California wildfires with a space laser and shit like that. That's why they know all these things to be true. Because they feel it on the inside. It doesn't have to be rational. Right? Why do people say shit like that? Why do they believe it? Right? Because some asshole like Tucker Carlson went on TV and said it 500,000 times. That's why they fucking believe it. It gives it that just enough legitimacy to it so that they can believe it without thinking. It's like a religion to these people, folks. Goddamn, we're only at 6 minutes in. Let's continue.
On shaman outside the Senate chamber. These are not rioters. These are people who wandered over from a political rally.
We will not let them silence your voices.
After the rally, they walked down Pennsylvania Avenue, where organizers had secured a federal permit to hold a legal rally on the grounds of the Capitol.
I know that everyone here will soon be marching over to the Capitol building to peacefully and patriotically make your voices heard.
Yeah, they're forgetting to mention that at that same rally that Trump's at, you had Rudy Giuliani up there saying, let's have trial by combat. Rudy Giuliani said that at that rally. Let's have trial by combat. Right? Donald Trump himself said, we're going to march over there and we're going to fight. All this other stuff, right? This is why those people were there. Okay, this is how they organized it to begin with. They knew the shit was happening. At that same rally, the rally, the Secret Service, because Donald Trump was still president when this happened, by the way. The inauguration wasn't for a couple of, weeks January 21st. So there was still like 2 weeks until the inauguration, right? And at this rally that we just saw footage of Donald Trump behind bulletproof glass, by the way, right? They were turning people with firearms and weapons away. The Secret Service was not letting them in because the president's there, because Donald Trump's the president. They're not going to let people with firearms in the crowd. And Donald Trump was angry because he thought there wasn't enough people. And he was telling his Secret Service people that they're not here to hurt me, let them in. Well, who are they here to hurt then? Right? Who are they here to hurt? If they're not there to hurt him and they've got guns at the fucking Capitol, who are they there to hurt? Okay? This idea that this is all, I had a feeling he was going to say this. I didn't watch this before. We're watching it green right now. But I had a feeling he was going to say this because this is a thing that a lot of January 6th apologists have brought up before in the past. That, this was a completely unplanned thing. There was a rally here, and then they went over to peacefully protest outside of the Capitol building. And that's 100% bullshit. Okay? It was always intended to get rowdy at the Capitol. Right? Now, they may not have intended for people to actually break into the Capitol. Right? But it's kind of looks like it. Like I said before, there was coordination. There was coordination between Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers and Roger Stone. And through Roger Stone, the Trump administration, right? It's looking like that. And I really, really wish somebody would investigate that shit, right? Because that's actually part of the coup. Now, you got to remember, while this shit is happening, right, on the inside of the Capitol, where the Congress people are trying to certify the election, right? You had what was called the Green Bay sweep going on. And what was the Green Bay sweep? Well, what was going to happen was that a lot of the House members and Congress people, right, were going to get up and object to the certification results, right? And so this is the plan, okay? First off, what they were going to do is they were going to send over from certain states like Arizona, right? They were going to send over, and like Pennsylvania and a few others, they were going to send over phony electors. Okay, so you guys heard about the phony elector scheme, right? Some people are actually going to go to jail for that too. And they were going to say, well, hey, these states sent these alternate electors. We don't know which ones are which. Right? So then a bunch of conservatives were going to stand up and object to the results from those states. Okay? And that's where Josh Hawley came in. That's where Marjorie Taylor Greene, that's what she was going to do. That was her part in this. She was going to object to it. Ted Cruz was going to object to it too because you needed somebody on the Senate side. Right? That was going to be his portion to this, right? And basically what they were doing that so then Mike Pence was going to get up and say, instead of saying his mostly ceremonial role where he certifies the election, he was then going to use that as a pretext in order to kick it back to the state legislatures, because that's in the Constitution. In the Constitution it says if they can't if there's doubts to the election, right, then it goes to the state legislatures, and the state legislatures then vote and decide who gets the electors. That was the plan, right? That was going to be called the Green Bay sweep. That was the plan, right? And we know this because, God, who was that guy that fucking dude that went on MSNBC and basically told us all about this Green Bay sweep? Can't remember his name, but Peter Navarro, that's who it was. Okay, Peter Navarro went on MSNBC and basically fucking like bragged about this. Right, back in, it was December 28th. Right, so we know that's what it was. That's, he went on Ari Melber's show and fucking laid it all out. Laid out the plan, right? So this is what they were trying to do, and the only reason it didn't work is because Mike Pence didn't go for it. So the plan was to, do that on the inside, right? And then have all these protesters and shit on the outside, right? So that, all of the Congress people were like getting pressure from both sides, saying, hey, if we don't do this, then the crowd might get rowdy out there, right? And the Proud Boys and the Oath Keepers were there as muscle to ensure that if shit didn't go their way, then they were going to use force. So it was this sort of two-pronged attack. This sort of, should I keep it like that? Or should I blend it? Actually, I kind of like how that looks. For the tips of these, at least. I think I'll keep the little rings here. Right, let's just put, instead of blending those. So that's what it started to look like. And it kind of seems like, well, the crowd jumped the gun. And if they wouldn't have actually broke into the building and forced everybody to flee and turn the whole thing into a giant clusterfuck, then maybe they could have put enough pressure on Pence and they might have actually pulled it off. That's kind of what it looks like to me. Okay. But to sit here and claim that, this thing was all spontaneous. It was just a innocent little protest that got out of hand. And these people were just sightseers that just went in after the police opened the doors for them. 100% grade A bullshit of the highest order. Zero fucking truth to that. And I like even the selectively edited videos that he's showing to try to make that point kind of show the exact opposite. Such bullshit. Let's continue.
At the Capitol building, things began to get chaotic. Capitol police officers fired tear gas into the crowd. A few at the front of the herd broke windows. Someone opened the doors, and many hundreds of others just walked in.
We're gonna make that the story.
Yeah.
Of course, they did make it.
Someone opened the doors after they smashed the windows in, went around and opened the doors for them. That's how the doors got opened. Okay. The police didn't open the doors and let people in. Alright? That's not what fucking happened. Somebody smashed the fucking window, went around and opened the doors, and then people started flooding into the Capitol. Right?
The story. And at the center of it, the single most famous person arrested that day was a Navy veteran from Arizona called Jacob Chansley, often referred to as the QAnon shaman.
The so-called QAnon shaman. QAnon shaman.
Someone named Q Shaman.
Jacob Chansley became the face of January 6th, a dangerous conspiracy theorist dressed in outlandish costume who led the violent insurrection to overthrow American democracy. For these crimes, Chansley was sentenced to nearly 4 years in prison, far more time than many violent criminals now receive.
Now, yeah, I can kind of agree that this guy got probably got a pretty big sentence. And it is because, yeah, he was sort of the poster child for all of this. But, he's not facing 60 years like Stuart Rhodes is, right? What did he do? He broke in. He was one of the first people here. See, here they are breaking in through the doors, right? He was one of the first people in. He disrupted the election. That was what he was there for, right? So it's not like he was there like for attempted murder or some shit like that, right? The thing that got him like all of the let's actually look it up. Let's look up exactly what Jacob Chansley was convicted of, right? Jacob Chansley convicted. Let's see, charges. Okay, let's see. Sentenced to 41 months in prison. Must pay $2,000 restitution. Okay. Let's see. What was he charged for exactly? Charges for the QAnon shaman: civil disorder, obstruction of an official proceeding, entering, remaining in a restricted building, disorderly and disruptive conduct in a restricted building, violent entry, disorderly conduct in a Capitol building, parading, demonstrating, or picketing in a Capitol building. That's what he got. You know what actually got all of that time, the majority of that time, is obstruction of an official proceeding. Right? Because he was there trying to stop the certification of the election. All the other shit, civil disorder, violent entry, right? Because, here's the footage of him right here.
What did Jacob Chansley
breaking
do
in,
to receive this punishment? To this day,
breaking into the thing, right? That's what it was. Obstruction of official proceedings. Let's continue what else he's got to say, because he's going to defend him a bit. So let's see what he's got to say.
There is dispute over how Chansley got into the Capitol building. But according to our review of the internal surveillance video, it is very clear what happened once he got inside. Virtually every moment of his time inside the Capitol was caught on tape. The tapes show that Capitol Police never stopped Jacob Chansley. They helped him. They acted as his tour guides. Here's video of Chansley in the Senate chamber. Capitol Police officers take him to multiple entrances and even try to open locked doors for him. We counted at least 9 officers who were within touching distance of unarmed Jacob Chansley. Not one of them even tried to slow him down. Chansley understood that Capitol Police were his allies. Video shows him giving thanks for them in a prayer on the floor of the Senate. Watch.
Thank you, Heavenly Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us in this building.
Okay. So, this is very, very, very misleading. But let's see where he's going with this.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years. He's a terrorist, they said. He should be killed.
Shoot him. Shoot him. Like, if you burst into the United States, if he was dressed like bin Laden, would you have shot him?
Shoot him. Shoot him.
I agree. They should have shot him. Now, what did we just see right there? Okay. Remember, at that point, right, there were thousands of people outside who had already broken in. When the cops are walking this guy around, what are they doing, right? They're preventing him from going into sensitive areas. Okay. That's what it became. After the people already breached the doors, right, and they're already inside, the focus of the police shifted from keeping them out to keeping them away from the senators, keeping them away from the Congress people, right? Keeping them away from sensitive areas, right? To make sure that they didn't go and murder the vice president like they were claiming they wanted to. Right? That's what it became. So, let's go back to these videos again. Oh yeah, they're showing him around, huh? They're showing him around. No. They're keeping him out of certain areas. Right?
Take him to multiple entrances.
That's what's going on. Like, let's turn this asshole off for a second. Watch where they're going. See? They're walking this way. They're saying, hey, you can't go over here. They're funneling him around. See what's happening here? Okay. They're keeping an eye on him. I mean, what? Should they have just been beating the shit out of him, like, immediately? Well, what about the other 1,000 fucking people that were in there, right? How many cops were in that room? What, 25? Maybe, if they were lucky, right? They already had, dozens of officers outside who had the crap beat out of them, who were, like I said, put in the hospital, beaten with flagpoles and fire extinguishers and missing fingers and all this other crap, sprayed in the face with fucking, mace and bear spray and shit. That's all happening outside, right? So their job at this point is try to keep people away from the fucking center. So that's what they're doing, okay? I mean, yeah, if it was, you would expect that, hey, maybe they should have pulled their guns and started firing, right? It's almost better that they didn't do that. I mean, do you want cops to just murder people? I don't want cops to just kill people. Okay. If there's a peaceful way for them to handle the situation without loss of life, don't you think the police should do it like that? Isn't that a good thing that they're not like just shooting people willy-nilly? You know, they shot Ashley Babbitt, right? They didn't shoot this guy. Why did they shoot Ashley Babbitt? Because she was trying to break in to where the Congress people were. She wasn't the only one. You've all seen that footage of an entire hallway packed to the gills with people trying to smash down a door. And, you know, the cops on the other side of that door warning everybody to get back, and then finally somebody fires. And then the minute they fire, then all the people leave. It's like, you know, keep in mind, if this was some other country, if this was, you know, Egypt or even Mexico, or even like, you know, some places in Europe, you know, like if this is Romania or some shit like that, there would have been way more overwhelming there would have been way more casualties, right? There would have been, you know, I mean, no. You know, I think it's rather commendable that the police didn't use overwhelming force here. They correctly summarized that, hey, if we start using lethal force, we're not going to be able to control this crowd. You know, there's like less than 100 of us, and there's like 5,000 of them. There's no way that we're going to be able to stop them, right? And they did their jobs the right way. You know, they funneled people away from the Congress people. They kept them safe, right? And they ultimately kept the fucking country from being overthrown by Donald Trump. So, that's a good thing. Okay. Such bull, and that's the thing. I mean, but he's playing this footage. It's like incredibly misleading. See, they showed him around. Like, first off, okay. So, if you went to go rob a bank, and there's a cop there, and the cop says, yeah, go ahead, rob it. That doesn't mean that you're, like, suddenly not guilty of that crime, right? You rob the bank anyway, even if the cop doesn't stop you. That doesn't mean, what if the cop helps you rob the bank, right? Which, that's not what happened here. The cops aren't helping this guy. You know, they're trying to prevent him from causing more harm is what they're trying to do. But let's entertain this fantasy for a minute and assume the police actually were helping Jacob Chansley. Does that mean he gets off scot-free? You know? Does that mean that he didn't commit the crime? Does that mean he didn't smash down the door? You know, you notice they didn't actually show him being let in by the police to the place. They didn't show that. He just alluded to it. You know? Right here in this video. Tucker Carlson alluded to the idea that the police opened the door and let Chansley in. But that's not what happened. You know, they smashed in a window and let themselves in. That's how they got in the goddamn doors, right? So, I mean, it's laughable. It's like, no, that doesn't make him fucking innocent, right? You know, the guy's a traitor. And I have a whole live stream where I went over, because what happened is Andrew Callahan, before he, like, you remember the Channel 5 guy, before he, like, you know, fucking, you know, before he, like, Me Too'd himself, right? Because he couldn't keep his hands to himself like a moron. Before that shit happened to him, he did an interview with the QAnon shaman in prison. And I went through most of that interview. So I've got an entire thing on the QAnon shaman. Like, you know, check my backlog on YouTube, right? So we know what QAnon shaman's motives were. This guy is like, you know, a really just bizarre, wacky conspiracy theorist who believes every kind of ridiculous horseshit that you can think of. Okay. So we know all about this dude's motives. We know everything like that. No one's calling him a terrorist, right? You know, I do agree though that if the police were to have shot him for breaking in, they would not have been out of line. I'll say that. That if lethal force was used, maybe if it was used earlier, I don't know. Maybe they shouldn't have used it. Maybe they should have used rubber bullets or something. Right. I do agree that, yeah, the police should have put up more of a fight, but I think they handled themselves rather well. And if they would have used lethal force, I don't think it would have been wrong in this case. You know, if they would have shot more people besides just Ashley Babbitt, I don't think they would have been out of line in this case, because these people wanted to fucking take over the fucking country. That's what they were there for. They were there to stop the certification so that the guy who lost the election would get to be president. Right? That's an insurrection. That's overthrowing the government. That's a revolution there. That's fucking, you know, the opposite of being a patriot. You know, that's the opposite of, like, you know, they weren't, you know, oh, they were there and respectful and all the bullshit. They were not there. They were not respectful. They were not there to just sightsee. They were there to fucking, like, overthrow the United States government. That was their fucking motive. They're traitors. Jacob Chansley, yeah, okay, maybe he's a deranged conspiracy theorist who, like, wasn't there, you know, wasn't being violent or anything. Doesn't matter. Still a fucking traitor. Continuing. Oh, I gotta turn on the sound again.
Father, for giving the inspiration needed to these police officers to allow us into the building.
Contrast the reality of what Jacob Chansley did in the Capitol building on January 6th, the indisputable facts recorded on video, some of which has never before been seen, with the depiction of Jacob Chansley that you've seen in the media for more than 2 years.
Yeah, shut the fuck up. We already heard that.
It makes you wonder, who are the violent extremists here? Not Jacob Chansley. And the video proves that. But you would never have known from the media coverage.
Yeah, well, you know, we already knew that he wasn't so violent, but you can't say the same about all the other people that were there, can ya? You know? Can't say the same about those people there trying to smash down the doors, trying to kill Mike Pence. Can't say the same about the guy who went looking for Nancy Pelosi to murder her. Can't say the same about any of those other people. So it's like, well, gee, you know, if you don't want to be confused for a violent fucking terrorist, maybe you shouldn't hang out with violent fucking terrorists. Sorry. Alright? Oh no. You know, yeah, okay, you know, I do agree that, yeah, maybe this guy's sentence may be a little disproportionate. You know, maybe he didn't deserve to get 4 years. But he should be in jail for what he did, you know. Obstruction of an official proceeding. Remember, that's the thing that got him all the time, you know, not the all the other charges: entering, remaining in restricted building, disorderly and disruptive conduct, all that other crap. Violent entry. You know, it's also, you know, because he was not just let in. Let's remember that. You know, Tucker Carlson is misleading people here, trying to claim that this guy was peaceful and the cops let him in. No, that's not true. You know, these people smashed fucking windows, smashed doors, broke in. All right? That's how they got into the Capitol. They weren't just let in by the police. No. Right? They smashed the windows. They let themselves in. Right? You know, they were there to disrupt stuff, you know. How come he's not showing the footage of people smearing feces on the wall? How come he's not doing that? Right? How come he's not showing the footage of Ashley Babbitt being shot? That is, there's footage of that. Okay? We've seen that footage. Right? Or that one, you know, cop being crushed. Like, you know, you've seen that one? Where they're trying to get in. Like, right before they shoot Ashley Babbitt, and there's like a cop standing in the doorway, and there's this huge group of people pushing on the doors, and this dude is stuck in between, and he's getting fucking crushed, and he starts screaming. How come they're not showing that guy, right? How come they're not showing the footage of Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer and all of the senators basically begging, you know, calling the National Guard and, like, begging them to come? And, like, you know, how come Donald Trump's not calling the National Guard and all this other shit? And then Nancy Pelosi tries to call them, and they won't come. because she's not allowed to give them orders to come. You know, the president has to fucking do it. Donald Trump wouldn't fucking do it, right? And so she calls an army base and tries to get them to come out, right? And all this other stuff. And they're like, well, I need an order from the White House. And they're like, well, fucking somebody do it. You know, people were begging Donald Trump while this shit was happening. Like, Republicans were begging him, put an end to this, stop this. He wouldn't send the National Guard out. He wouldn't do it. Almost makes it seem like that was part of the plan, wasn't it? Right? Misleading fucking bullshit. You know, I knew this shit was going to be fake. I knew it was going to be, like, lies. I knew he was going to lie to people here. Right? I still tried to mentally prepare myself for it, and I still am not prepared. It's still pissing me off watching this. Seeing this guy fucking lie to people. It's like I knew it was going to be like bullshit. I knew it's Tucker Carlson. He's going to lie. Still, it's still just the blatant fucking lies that are like, oh my god, it's infuriating. It's absolutely infuriating because I'm seeing all over the fucking internet, you know, one ridiculous MAGA chud after the other post this shit. And try to claim that it like justifies them, that they're completely, you know, this justifies all of it, you know. Get the fuck out of here, right? I don't know. Ridiculous. Moving on.
The people sitting in the chairs need to be sitting in a jail cell.
Chansley is in a jail cell. He's been there for months.
He deserves to be there.
If he was in fact committing such a grave crime, why didn't the officers who were standing right next to him place him under arrest? Until now, no one could even prove that even happened.
Because there were hundreds, if not thousands, of other people in that building as well. So what are they going to do? Just arrest one guy? Right? Is that what they're going to do? They're just going to arrest one dude and just ignore everybody else. And no. It's such fucking bullshit. They're preventing him from getting to the Congress people. That's what they were doing. Ridiculous.
But it did.
Within hours of January 6th, literally hours, you began to hear that day described as a deadly insurrection, and not described by one news outlet or one politician, but in unison by all of them, almost like it was coordinated. A deadly insurrection. That's how history may record January 6th. But the tape that we reviewed from within the building on that day proves it was neither an insurrection nor deadly. Here it is.
January 6th, when an estimated 2,000 rioters breached the Capitol building, causing the deaths of 5 police officers.
Certain dates echo
throughout history.
Here it is.
Let's watch that again.
January 6th, when an estimated 2,000 rioters breached the Capitol building.
Okay. That looks very nice and peaceful, doesn't it? Looks like people are just sitting there in lines, doesn't it? Of course it does.
Causing the deaths of...
Here we go. Yeah, that's nice and peaceful, huh? These people are just sightseers.
5 police officers.
Certain dates echo throughout history. December 7th, 1941. September 11th, 2001. And January 6th.
Shut up.
The mob beat
Move on.
officers with anything they had on them. Hockey stick, a flagpole, a fire extinguisher. Police officers died.
Donald Trump supporters who, of course, rioted and killed police officers.
All right. Let's look at that again. Okay.
Of course, rioted and...
So you see this? These are cops pointing their guns outside of the windows here. Why are they putting their guns outside the windows? Because there's a huge crowd of people behind here smashing things. You notice how this window is broken? Right? They're trying to break through here. So this is like a barricade that these guys have set up. They've put like a desk in front of these doors, right? And they're putting their guns, trying to keep, you know, because in this room, this is where the Congress people are, right? That's what's going on here, you know. Now, if you didn't know all this, if you're a typical Fox News viewer who buys their horseshit hook, line, and sinker, you would think that the police were overreacting. Oh, we just saw a bunch of people walking around peacefully. They're sightseers. Why did they shoot Ashley Babbitt? They murdered her. It's like, no, that's not what happened, right? There's a huge giant mob of people right outside of that door trying to break in and kill everyone. That's what they were there for, right? The shooting of Ashley Babbitt was justified. You know, we talk about police shootings a lot on my channel. And, you know, I'll be the first person to tell you when a cop pulls his gun and fires without justification. But this is justified. Moving on.
Killed police officers.
By the evening of January 6th, the Democratic Party and its publicists in the national news media had settled on a description of what had happened that day. They distilled an enormous number of highly complex events that even now we don't fully understand, into a single emotionally laden...
We fully understand them. That's another rhetorical device that Tucker Carlson uses all the time. We don't fully understand. This is stuff we're still figuring out. These are things that nobody knows. It's like, no, we know all about it. We know exactly what happened, right? Remember, we had a year of January 6th hearings in front of Congress where all of this stuff was explained in great detail. We know exactly what happened, right? We know, you know, all of the people that have been arrested, right? We know all of their crimes. We have it all on video. They went and bragged about it themselves. They posted their own shit to Facebook, right? So, no. We know exactly what's going on here. This is... The lies, they just... Oh, my God. How much more of this shit do we have? I don't know. All right. There's only 3 minutes left. I think I can get through the rest of it without vomiting. Let's continue.
Political slogan, which they've repeated for years with remarkable discipline. January 6th, they said, was a deadly insurrection.
There was a deadly insurrection that the right wing is trying to cover up.
He incited a deadly insurrection.
Incited a deadly insurrection.
The violent, deadly insurrection on the Capitol 9 months ago, it was about white supremacy, in my view.
A deadly insurrection.
That's exactly what it was about. Biden is 100% correct on that. It was definitely, you know, had some white supremacy, had a lot to do with it. You know. The opposition groups, the Trump people, yeah, it's... I wouldn't say that the January 6th insurrection was about white supremacy, but sure were a lot of white supremacists there. You know, people liked Baked Alaska, for example, were hanging out in that crowd. You know, people like Stuart Rhodes hanging out in there. So, although Stuart Rhodes wasn't there inside of the, he wasn't inside of the Capitol, but his cohorts were. So, that's, you know, not a unfair characterization in my opinion. And let's remember that the insurrection was deadly. Okay? You know, police officers died. Brian Sicknick died. You know, because of that. Right? Other people died too. Besides him and Ashley Babbitt, you know. There were bombs placed outside of the Republican and Democratic national headquarters there. Everybody forgets that. They never actually found who did that, you know. Why were there bombs placed in front of these buildings? It was to divert the police. That's why they were there. They were pipe bombs placed in front of these buildings, right? So that it would draw resources away from the Capitol. Okay? There were plenty of people with guns there, you know. Plenty of people got arrested with firearms, right? People inside the Capitol with knives, with one guy that had zip ties. Why was he carrying zip ties? I thought he was just a dude that dressed up in military fatigues. You know what? Let's take I think I can find a picture of him. Jan 6 zip ties. Man who stormed Capitol with zip ties gets longest. Let's see. This dude right here. Let's bring this over here, if I can get a photo of him. This is the guy who showed up with the zip ties. Guy Reffitt, that's his name. This dude right here, showed up with a bunch of zip ties, ready to take some hostages, right? Military fatigues, flak vest, right? Face covered, combat ready. Right? Let's make that a little bigger so you guys can see that picture. Was that guy a sightseer? Was that guy just a tourist? Was he respecting the Capitol? Was he making a prayer to the police? Right? Was he forming an orderly little line walking around inside of there? No. He was there to kidnap people, to tie people up, right? And do who knows what with them. That's what was going on there. Tucker Carlson's not talking about that shit, is he? Right? Oh, they're framing it as a violent insurrection. Because there were violent insurrectionists there. Did I just accidentally turn off my other thing here? Nope, there it is. Okay, wait a second. There we go. Well, you know what? Now I need to hang on a second. I need to turn that off now. Okay, and then now I can make this big again. All right. So let's see. We have 3 minutes left. Do you think we can power through 3 minutes, folks? We're so close to the end. Let's just continue. I'm trying not to projectile vomit right now. But we can make it, folks.
Insurrection. Everything about that phrase is a lie. Very little about January 6th was organized or violent. Surveillance video from inside the...
That's complete 100% bullshit. It was all organized. It was extremely violent. I mean, such horseshit.
Capitol shows mostly peaceful chaos. But the slogan worked.
Peaceful
the
chaos.
Term deadly carries enormous...
These people right here, he's showing the video right here. It's mostly peaceful chaos. These are people swarming over the outside of the building, smashing in windows and shit, trying to get inside. It's like the video that he's showing itself directly contradicts the shit that he's saying.
Enormous emotional power, which is why they used it. To prove the insurrection was deadly, propagandists pointed to the death of an officer called Brian Sicknick.
Here we go.
The mob killed Officer Brian.
Here it goes. Here's where he's going to try to claim. No, they didn't really kill him. Watch. Okay.
Brian Sicknick. That's what they said. It was their single most powerful indictment of the January 6th protesters and of Donald Trump and of Republican voters nationally. They repeated that claim for years. They are still repeating it. At first, they told the country that Officer Sicknick was murdered with a fire extinguisher.
Officer Brian Sicknick died after being hit in the head with a fire extinguisher during the fight.
That story came from the New York Times, which is effectively the assignment editor for most of the rest of American media. It was a lie, untrue in any way. But only after that lie had hardened into conventional wisdom.
All right. That wasn't a lie. Okay. He did get hit in the head with a fire extinguisher. Right? But he didn't die from it. He died from a stroke. Okay? It wasn't a lie. It's called reporting. See, this is the thing that you know, when shit is happening, right? When there's a story like this going on, right? All of the facts are not all immediately clear right off the bat. Sometimes it takes a little while for the facts to come out, right? And that's what happened with Brian Sicknick. Okay? Brian Sicknick dies, right, of a stroke, right? He went to the hospital. There's footage of him getting hit in the head with a fucking fire extinguisher. All right, or at least people thought there was, and that's what got reported. This guy's dead. What happened? Well, he went to the hospital. Why? Because he got the crap beat out of him. Someone sprayed him in the face with a wasp spray. Brian Sicknick. That's what happened. Got the crap beat out of him. Got hit with a fire extinguisher. Goes to the hospital. Dies the next day. Right. The coroner does an autopsy. Turns out he died of a stroke. So the coroner says natural causes. Okay. I mean, I guess it's just a coincidence that someone dies of a stroke the day after getting the living crap beat out of them. Right? I guess it's just a wild coincidence, right? Like I said, one thing had absolutely nothing to do with the other. Like, all of the stress involved with fighting for your fucking life and almost dying. Right. I guess that had absolutely nothing to do with the stroke that hit him, right? Such fucking bullshit. Okay, you know, Tucker Carlson has now gone over the limit. He's now become, like, he's making excuses about the death of a police officer, for fuck's sake. You know, I guarantee you, if Brian Sicknick would have died during a BLM protest, do you think any of these fucking little, you know, douchebags would be like making excuses for it? Do you think any of them would be like, oh yeah, his stroke had nothing to do with him fighting and getting beaten and shit the day before? Do you think any of them would be making that excuse? No. You know what? Fuck this guy. Alright, I know we only got 2 minutes left, but fuck him. I've watched enough. If you guys want to watch this, here's the URL. It's up on YouTube here. Right? Sick of this fucking shit. Okay. Let's turn that off. That's it. I couldn't get through it. There was only 2 minutes left. It was worse than what I thought, folks. You know, like I said earlier, I started hinting on this a little bit earlier. Sometimes I think that, oh wow, that actually does look pretty good, right? That it's, maybe we should just ignore the Tucker Carlsons. But no, we can't. We can't ignore them, right? If you just ignore them, they just get louder. And it gets spread around more and more and more, you know. We really do need to call these people out when they lie every time. I mean, I lost track of how many lies he said during that video there. Just lie after lie after lie. Misleading lie over and over and over again. And all of the fucking... the right-wing conspiracy theorist assholes are out there, like, claiming that this vindicates them. And it, you know, it's like I said before, folks. It's like, you know, I know that Tucker Carlson knows this shit's a lie. Right? I know that he knows it's a lie. We know it's a lie. We know that he knows it's a lie. We have, you know, we have the evidence that he doesn't believe that the election was stolen. We have that evidence. So just on that, by itself, all of the election claims that he's made, we know that that's false, right? We know he knows that these people are crazy. And that people like, you know, that like people like fucking Giuliani and what's her name? What's her fucking name? Sidney Powell and all those other people. We know that he knows those people are bananas. That they're batshit insane. And he's saying all of this shit for the money, right? That's like beyond a reasonable doubt. And it's like he's lying. He knows that he's lying, and he knows that we know he's lying, and he's doing it anyway. Right? For the money. It makes him the most despicable person, like, ever. He's lying. He's spreading, like, hate and dissension, right? And chaos. And he's doing it because he's making a shitload of money. If there is a hell, Tucker Carlson will be burning in the deepest, darkest pit of it. Most vile piece of shit. He is now the worst. Like like I said before, like I used to hate Ann Coulter the worst out of all the conservative pundits and everything. And now it's Tucker Carlson has dethroned Ann Coulter, in my opinion, as the most despicable piece of shit conservative talking head there is. You know? Seriously, the guy has zero fucking principles. He would, like, kick his own grandmother off a bridge to get a donut. This guy. Right? Seriously, he would stomp on his own daughter's face in order to get a dollar bill. Like, absolutely no fucking, like, no scruples. Like, at all. It's vile and disgusting and upsetting, and I'm fucking angry after watching that. I'm angry. It worked. It worked. The rage click thing worked in my case. You know, it made me mad. It has the opposite effect though, and you know, I think he's more full of shit than before. Like, I used to think he was just sleazy or whatever, but no, he's gone from beyond sleazy to like malevolent, like. Malevolent, excuse me. Sorry, it's late at night here. It's late at night and I ran out of water. My fucking throat's all dry now. Malevolent, you know, he's... I don't know. This shit's dangerous, and that's the dangerous part of all of this, right? And sorry, I'm taking a break from drawing. I know I should be drawing here, but my, like, hand hurts. So let's zoom out a little bit so you guys can see the whole thing. We're almost finished with this anyway, right? Thinking probably this next stream will be it. You know, maybe the Saturday stream will be it, and we'll finally start something else. Hand hurts now, so I'm taking a break from drawing. But, yeah, this is the sad, you know, the really sad part is that there's people that their media diet consists 100% of Tucker Carlson and Fox News, and they don't watch anything else. They're perfectly content to stay within their own little media bubble. And because culturally they've aligned themselves with that side, and they don't care what the truth is. And that's the thing that you get with conspiracy theorists of all stripes, not just right-wing conspiracy theorists, right? Because remember, you know, the mainstream Republicans at this point are all conspiracy theorists. They are, by definition. If they're supporting Donald Trump, if they believe that the election was stolen, if they believe that there was a conspiracy to prevent Donald Trump from uncovering the truth about that election, if they think that January 6th was not an insurrection, if they're believing the shit that we just saw, then by definition that makes you a conspiracy theorist, right? And it's like, you know, it's really going to lead, like this sort of, if this shit remains unchecked, it will lead to the destruction of our country. It will lead to I really think so. I really think it has the potential to destroy America. So, I don't know, maybe I'm being hyperbolic there, but I don't think so. I think we need to take this shit seriously, man. These are the same people that, you know, 15, you know, even 10 years ago were going crazy over things like, you know, the Sandy Hook, you know, Sandy Hook was a hoax, you know, or Jade Helm or some shit like that. You know, these were the same people screaming that in 2000 that the, you know, the Y2K bug was going to destroy society, crap like that, right? These are the same people that for 20 years lost their minds over Islamic terrorism. It turned out they're fucking, you know, after 9/11, and it was like, you know, same people that believe all kinds of wacky shit. It's like they're the mainstream now. Like they're the mainstream conservatives. It's fucking, our country is fucked up. You know, 40% of the country believes a giant freaking lie. What are you supposed to do in that situation? When you have propaganda like this going up every fucking night, is there any wonder why, you know, why people believe this shit? Why they keep voting Republican? Despite, you know, and that's ultimately what it's all about. It's so that they can stay in power. That's really what they're doing. That's the whole reason, like we talked about at the beginning of the stream, you know, we mentioned it. The whole reason why Kevin McCarthy gave this asshole all this footage was so that he could come up with a narrative in order to save their bacon in the next election. Right. It's absolutely fucking despicable. All of them. They're all... every single one of these fucking, conservative Republican assholes are like, I don't know. Our country's doomed. Our country, if half of the people out there are watching shit like this and thinking that it's like good, and that Tucker Carlson is giving them like, the super secret info that you don't get from the evil mainstream media, that our country's fucking doomed, folks. It's only a matter of time. It'll be within my lifetime, I think. It may not be for another 30 years or so, but the United States will collapse. I have zero confidence of me of the United States outliving me. 40 years max. It's going to dissolve. It's going to be just like Russia. We're probably going to break into, the north and the south, and everything will be cool in the north, and in the south everything will be all like conservative, Christian, repressive. You won't allow to be gay. You won't allow to be trans. You won't allow to be anything but a Christian. Women won't be allowed to like have jobs or whatever. Right. They'll probably like start, who knows what'll even fucking happen, but it'll happen. 30, 40 years max. I don't know, folks. Get out there and vote. Get out there and vote. And for the love of fucking God, if you have friends and relatives that actually listen to this shit, that actually try to like believe Tucker Carlson and watch Fox News and all that, for the love of God, folks, please talk to them. Talk to them and explain to them how they're being lied to. Maybe we can preserve the country for a little bit longer, huh? Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you all for watching. Whoever watched, thank you so much. I think this one is just going to go up on YouTube in its entirety. Please, if you like what I do and want to support the channel, I've got links to my Etsy shop and all that other stuff down below in the thing. Please check them out. And that's all I got, folks. Adios.